Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Union leaders are gearing up for a fight to the finish with the government. That story straight ahead.
Despite recent protests, a contract has been signed for new construction at the Princess Margaret Hospital. That story straight ahead.
The Free National Movement blasts the government over the recent carnival report. That story straight ahead.
Plus, how the controversial carnival impacted the country's GDP. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, following the Attorney General's controversial decision to stop the private prosecution of two Sandals executives, leaders of the country's two umbrella unions have declared war on the Christie administration. Those union leaders insist the government is impotent when it comes to protecting Bahamian workers. Our Jasmine Brown tells us what union leaders are threatening to do next. Jasmine?
That's right, Christina. Those union leaders say they are in the process of rallying their troops as they prepare to battle the government.
I expect for all of our members to now start to circle the vine, start to rally the rest of the troops, sharpen your gears, and get ready for battle. We're going to have to battle this out. Obviously, the government is not on our side.
Pinder was joined by Trade Union Congress President Obie Ferguson at a joint press conference this morning. The two umbrella unions represent more than 30 unions across the country. Many of those union leaders attended today's press conference in a show of solidarity. When asked if union members plan on taking industrial action, Ferguson would not give specifics, but insisted the repercussions will be massive.
We have a duty. That doesn't do with no politics. That's a secondary. But if you want to stand in the way and the flood coming, you're going to get taken over. Right. We will stand as a unit, because this don't affect no one union, as the president indicated. This affects all of us in the boat.
Ferguson insisted it's far from an empty threat.
That you don't disclose what you're going to do. You're resolved to do it. We're going to do it when we think it's the best time to do it and when we can get the maximum result from what we're doing. But if the government sit around and think that they're going to let it die and we ain't going to do nothing, they're joking.
The union is fired up over the AG's legal action, saying they were blindsided. The NOLI is dated August 15th, the same day more than 600 jobs were made redundant by Sandals Royal Bahamian Resort. The prosecution involved allegations that Sandals General Manager Gary Williams and Financial Controller Ronnie Mirza failed or refused to enter into contract negotiations with the Bahamas Hotel Maintenance and Allied Workers Union. Pinder and Ferguson both say they can't understand why Prime Minister Perry Christie hasn't fired the AG or asked her to resign.
The Prime Minister should have had the testicle fortitude to demand her resignation, the fact that she sat to that table and misled us. The Prime Minister is our boss. If he's satisfied that this decision is in the best interest of the country, well, then let her remain as Attorney General. And he will get his termination letter in May of next year, or whenever he calls it during election.
Now, it's important to note that the two umbrella unions have not always been on the same page. However, union leaders say this matter is so important that they had to join forces. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, government signed a multi-million-dollar contract today for renovations at Princess Margaret Hospital's maternity and male surgical wards. This despite calls by the Free National Movement and Bahamas Doctors Union to hold off on renovations. Dana Smith reports.
Both opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis and the Doctors Union have called on Prime Minister Perry Christie to delay construction, with Minnis accusing Christie of refusing to listen. But Christie said today this is beyond politics and something that has to be done.
Why should I let an obstetrician gynecologist politician induce me into making politics out of this? This is beyond politics. That's the point I'm making. This is an area where politics should be minimized. Or if it is played out, it's played out in the House of Assembly.
Minnis has expressed concern about limited space in the maternity ward, explaining its peak delivery time and the renovations could negatively impact the quality of patient care. He charged the government is only moving forward with renovations because it feels it would be politically advantageous, a claim Christie has denied.
None of you should believe that a hospital administration with the mandate to protect the lives of people would make a decision to bring about construction in the maternity ward without having alternative accommodation.
Doctors Union President Dr. Charles Arthur Clark said PMH consultants have requested the government delay renovations until January because the awful timing could negatively impact patient care. Clark said the concern is that working space will be reduced to a quarter of what they have now. Not only will there be fewer beds for mothers, he said, but less space for babies, which could mean rush services. Addressing senior physicians at the event, Christie said their concerns will be acknowledged.
That you will participate in the planning of where people will go and when, of the timing of the implementation and execution of the contract in its different phases. I have to assume, like me, they have sense. And that they will show you and tell you how they plan to do it.
The construction cost for the maternity ward and male surgical suites is just under $15 million. Christie noted PMH is an old facility, having been constructed back in the 1950s, and is in need of upgrades ahead of the implementation of national health insurance. And that's what government is trying to address. Reporting for our news, I'm Dana Smith.
Managing Director of the Public Hospitals Authority, Herbert Brown, says there is no fixed date for upgrades to begin on Princess Margaret Hospital's maternity ward and male surgical ward. In the meantime, he says dialogue between all stakeholders continues.
Our team at the Princess Margaret Hospital have been meeting with the architect, contractor, and the subcontractors to agree on how and when this important renovation will proceed. No fixed date has been set. They met as recent as yesterday and will meet again tomorrow to continue that dialogue until we are satisfied that we can transfer our patients to the temporary locations.
Brown says he is confident that at the end of the day, everyone will be satisfied with the modernization of the maternity ward, male surgical ward, and legacy entrance.
As we continue our journey of transforming our public healthcare system, as you will find with any other significant interventions, there will be rough spots in the road. And there will also be honest disagreements about how we should proceed. But if we all can agree that healthcare is a fundamental right of every Bahamian, then we will reach our destination, and we will get there together.
After waiting months for the release of the 2016 Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival report, Free National Movement Chairman Sidney Cawley says the newly released figures prove the festival is a completely mismanaged event. Cawley says Carnival's failure to stay within budget and make a profit is just another example of why Bahamians need transparency from their government. Simone Davis reports.
Cawley says the findings in that report is just another example of why the government needs to be more transparent.
We should see this report as another clear example of why we need to have transparency, because only when the people have access to the information about their government can they hold the government accountable.
The 2016 Junkanoo Carnival report revealed that the Bahamas National Festival Commission went over budget by nearly $3 million and failed to make a profit. Though $7 million was budgeted for the event, the commission spent $9.8 million to pull off the controversial festival. Commission Chairman Paul Major defended their spending, insisting the festival isn't about profit. However, Cawley asserted that's not what Bahamians were led to believe.
He goes on to say instead of focusing on Carnival's profitability or the lack thereof, Major concentrated on the multiplier effect of the festival, the ripples felt throughout the economy as opposed to direct cash in hand. I never heard such nonsense. What multiplier effect? What direct impact on the economy?
The F&M chairman also asserted the government's mistakes are chasing tourists away from the country. He called on the government to release all of the figures for Junkanoo Carnival.
I'm calling on Minister Wilchcombe and the Prime Minister to produce the hardcore data. The Bahamian people is tired of rhetoric, tired of PLP spin. This report, the second consecutive report on this Carnival Festival, has seen taxpayer dollar just pour down the drain and goes out the door. And we are being told about spin-off and economic impact without any reliable data.
Reporting for our news, I'm Simone Davis.
Thanks, Simone. Still to come on our news.
Branford McCartney weighs in on those recently released Carnival figures. That's coming up straight ahead.
Plus, a look at Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival's economic impact. That's coming up when our news returns.